Are the Toronto Maple Leafs finally going to make a smart, low-risk, high-reward move by acquiring Connor Murphy, a reliable right-shot defenseman who won't cost them the farm? Or are they going to continue chasing expensive, flashy names while ignoring the kind of practical, steady upgrade that actually wins playoff games? All right, folks, let's bring this conversation back down to earth for a moment. We've talked about blockbuster trades, about acquiring superstars like Colton Parayko or gambling on high-ceiling players like Andrei Svechnikov. But sometimes, the best moves aren't the ones that generate headlines or break the internet. They're the smart, calculated, low-risk acquisitions that fill specific needs without mortgaging the future. And that's exactly what Connor Murphy represents for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The 31-year-old defenseman from the Chicago Blackhawks might not be a household name, and he's certainly not going to win a Norris Trophy. But he could be precisely the kind of practical, steady defensive upgrade that Toronto needs to solidify their blue line, without breaking the bank or sacrificing their most valuable assets. Let's break down why Connor Murphy makes so much sense as a low-risk, high-reward target for the Maple Leafs. Let's start with the profile, because Connor Murphy checks several important boxes for what the Leafs are looking for. First and foremost, he's a right-shot defenseman. That's a less common commodity in the NHL, and Toronto has been actively searching for reliable right-shot defenders who can play significant minutes and handle tough assignments. Murphy stands 6'4" and weighs 212 pounds, bringing the kind of size and physicality that Craig Berube's system demands. He's an experienced NHL defenseman with over 600 career games, meaning he's not a project or a gamble. He's a known quantity who understands how to play at the highest level. Crucially, Murphy is in the final year of his contract, carrying a cap hit of $4.4 million. While that's not insignificant, it's far more manageable than the contracts of players like Parayko or other high-end defensive targets. And because he's a pending unrestricted free agent, the acquisition cost in terms of prospects and draft picks would likely be much lower than what would take to land a more established star. Chicago is in full rebuild, and they're actively looking to move veterans for future assets. Murphy fits that profile perfectly. He's a veteran player on an expiring contract who could fetch the Blackhawks some valuable draft picks or prospects without requiring them to give up their core young talent. Murphy has been mentioned in multiple reports as a priority target for teams needing right-shot defensive reinforcement, and the Leafs have been specifically linked to him in recent rumors. That's not just idle speculation. That's genuine interest from Toronto's front office, recognizing that Murphy represents a practical, attainable solution to their defensive needs. Now, let's be realistic about Murphy's limitations, because he's not a perfect player. He's not the fastest skater, especially compared to younger, more mobile defensemen. His offensive impact is limited. He's not going to quarterback your power play or put up 40 points in a season. He's not a true top-pairing defenseman in the absolute sense. He's more of a solid second-pairing or high-end third-pairing guy. And there's a no-trade clause in his contract, which could restrict or complicate negotiations if Murphy isn't willing to waive it to come to Toronto. However, given Chicago's rebuild and Murphy's desire to compete for a playoff spot, it's likely he would be open to waiving that clause for the right opportunity. In the context of the Maple Leafs, Murphy would fit perfectly as a second-pairing or third-pairing defenseman, offering defensive stability, physical presence, and reliability. He's the kind of player who won't blow you away with highlight reel plays, but he'll consistently make the right decisions, win battles along the boards, clear front of net, and play a steady, mistake-free game. In long playoff series or high-intensity games, those attributes are incredibly valuable. For a team seeking balance between a strong offense and a solid defensive foundation, Murphy could make a tangible difference. From a strategic perspective, choosing Murphy instead of pursuing a superstar allows the Leafs to preserve resources for other positions or minimize the impact on their future. They wouldn't have to give up top prospects like Easton Cowan or Ben Danford. They wouldn't have to sacrifice multiple first-round picks. And they wouldn't have to take on a massive long-term contract that could hamstring their cap flexibility for years to come. If the Leafs are looking for an immediate reinforcement with minimal risk, Murphy is a sensible choice. Think about the trade package required to acquire Murphy. Chicago would likely be satisfied with a mid-tier prospect, perhaps a second or third round draft pick, and maybe a depth roster player. That's a far cry from the Kings' ransom it would take to land someone like Parayko or Touch. Toronto could make this move without significantly impacting their long-term plans, without weakening their prospect pool, and without creating major cap complications. It's a smart, calculated move that addresses a specific need without creating new problems. Murphy's experience and steady play would also provide valuable mentorship for Toronto's younger defensemen. Players like Topi Niemela or other prospects in the system could benefit from playing alongside a veteran like Murphy, learning how to play a responsible, defensively sound game at the NHL level. That kind of veteran presence and leadership is often undervalued, but can have a significant impact on a team's overall development and culture. In terms of on-ice fit, Murphy could slot in alongside more offensive-minded defensemen like Morgan Reilly or Jake McCabe, providing the defensive stability and physicality that allows his partner to take more risks and contribute offensively. Or he could anchor a third pairing, providing a reliable, steady presence that can be trusted in all situations. His versatility and reliability make him an easy fit into any defensive structure, and his willingness to play a physical, hard-nosed game aligns perfectly with Craig Berube's coaching philosophy. The beauty of this potential acquisition is that it's a low-risk, high-reward move. If Murphy comes to Toronto and performs well, solidifying the defense and contributing to a deep playoff run, it's a massive win. If he struggles or doesn't fit as well as expected, the cost was minimal, a mid-round pick and a depth prospect, and his contract expires at the end of the season, so there's no long-term commitment. That's the kind of smart, calculated risk that championship contending teams make all the time. In summary, Connor Murphy may not be the name that generates front-page headlines, but he's exactly the type of move that many serious teams make, a specific, functional reinforcement aligned with their needs. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, he would represent a solid step forward on defense without compromising the future. He's a practical, steady upgrade that could be the difference between another early playoff exit and a deep run. Sometimes, the best moves aren't the flashiest ones. They're the smart, calculated acquisitions that fill specific needs and make the entire team better. What do you think, Leafs Nation? Should Brad trail-living pursue Connor Murphy as a low-risk, practical defensive upgrade? What kind of package would you be willing to offer the Chicago Blackhawks? A second-round pick, a mid-tier prospect? And how important is it for the Leafs to make smart, calculated moves that don't mortgage the future while still addressing immediate needs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear all your perspectives on this potential move. And if you want to stay on top of every trade rumor, every potential acquisition, and every breaking news story as the NHL season unfolds, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. We'll be here breaking down every significant development, and you won't want to miss a single update as we continue to chase that ultimate prize.